Welcome to the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe, welcoming you to our live, local, 5 days a week look into all things Oakland County. Today, we'll be talking to job market experts, financial advisors, and more about topics interesting and important to people like you right here in Oakland County. Let's get into today's headlines on our website at civiccentertv.com on our local news page. Our top story today is from Simon Schuster at MLive. Governor Gretchen Whitmer has tested positive for COVID-19. However, her symptoms at this time remain mild. She tested positive earlier this week. Her office announced late on Monday. Whitmer, who is fully vaccinated and has received 2 additional booster shots, said she has mild symptoms and will continue to work remotely. Quote, after speaking with a state doctor, I will follow the proper guidance and protocols while maintaining a remote schedule to continue getting things done for the people of Michigan, Whitmer said in a statement. Whitmer's statement said she last tested negative for COVID-19 on Monday afternoon. It wasn't clear when Whitmer first tested positive for COVID-19. The governor was in Benton Harbor on Sunday afternoon visiting residents who have been affected by the city's water crisis, and later at a quote-unquote Grilling with Gretchen event indoors with more than 300 people, according to her campaign. The statement said all of Monday's close contacts would be informed, and more than 2.6 million Michiganders since the beginning of the pandemic have contracted the virus. That's according to the state health department. About 37,500 residents have died as a result of the virus in the state of Michigan. An Omicron subvariant known as BA.5 recently became the most predominant strain circulating in the country and is believed to be by researchers to be particularly transmissible. The governor managed to avoid the virus for nearly 2.5 years since the pandemic's onset in the United States. She came into the national spotlight politically for her actions taken to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 here in Michigan, and for the resentment of those actions engendered in critics. By mid-June of 2021, Whitmer lifted nearly every remaining public health measure and refrained from reinstating restrictions when the virus raged on again later on that year. Republican Tudor Dixon, who will face Whitmer in November in the election, has taken to calling her the quote-unquote lockdown queen, and Whitmer's scheduled events for the next several days, however, have been canceled, according to a spokesperson, as a result of her positive testing for COVID-19. The positive test result is perilously close to some key political pageantry for Whitmer. The Michigan Democratic Party's nominating convention, where she will officially accept the party's nomination for re-election, is on August 20th and 21st. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends wearing a well-fitting mask for at least 10 days following the onset of COVID-19 symptoms. Though it wasn't made clear when Whitmer first became ill with COVID-19 and experienced the symptoms, from Monday, that period would end on August 18th. That would, of course, give her enough time through recovery to then be eligible to go back out into public without a mask for the convention on the 20th and 21st. Also making headlines from our local news on our local news page from Frank Witzel at the Detroit Free Press. Gas prices in Michigan have fallen to nearly $4 a gallon and are expected to continue to drop. Michigan gas prices fell another 20 cents from a week ago to $4 a gallon almost, and at least one analyst predicted it could eventually fall below $3 a gallon. The average gas price for regular unleaded gas in Michigan was $4.04 per gallon. That's 85 cents less than a month ago, but still 74 cents above this time a year ago, according to AAA. On Monday, AAA said, quote, Michigan motorists continue to see lower prices at the pump, with some areas seeing prices already below $4 a gallon, according to a AAA spokesperson, Adrian Woodland. Woodland continued on by saying, quote, if gas demands remain low and stocks continue to rise alongside falling crude oil prices, drivers will continue to likely see pump prices decrease, and closed quote. Patrick DeHaan, an oil and refined products analyst for Gas Buddy, which also tracks gas prices, said last week that he had spotted a station in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, selling at $2.99 per gallon, and expected to see more of that nationwide. Motorists are now paying an average of about $60 for a full 15-gallon tank of gas. Compared with last week, Metro Detroit's average daily gas price also fell. Metro Detroit's average is even lower than the statewide average of $4.01 per gallon, about 19 cents less than last week's average, but still 64 cents more than this time last year. In the state of Michigan, the most expensive gas prices at this time are in Traverse City, $4.41 per gallon, Marquette, $4.36 per gallon, and in the southern lower peninsula in Ann Arbor at $4.19 per gallon. Least expensive gas in the state is in mid-Michigan in Flint, $3.95 per gallon. On the west side of the state in Grand Rapids, $3.98 a gallon. And locally here in the Metro Detroit area, in the city of Detroit, $4.01 per gallon. The drop in gas prices helps with the cost of living. Inflation in June reached 9.1%. That's the highest since late 1981. And fast rising gas prices have become a key driver, according to data from the Department of Labor at the U.S. level. Finally, making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page from Candace Williams at the Detroit News. A house owned by holdout owners near Little Caesars Arena has burned down. A rundown house in the shadow of LCA was leveled by a fire on Monday. Property owned by one of the last holdouts in the area surrounding the venue, to which had not sold its property to the Ilitch organization. The Detroit Fire Department received a call around 4 a.m. on Monday about a fire at 2712 Cass, according to Crane's Detroit Business that first reported this story. The 3,344 square foot house built in 1880 was destroyed, and ashes continued to smolder at the site late on Monday morning. The fire's cause was not immediately known. The owners of the house had asked as much as $5 million for the property in the past, with its most recent asking price reduced to just a modest $2.5 million in June. The lot was being marketed as vacant since, said listing agent Shane Parker, a broker at S&P Realty in Grosse Pointe Park. He said there has been interest in the site, and he expects that interest will continue even despite the house no longer being there. Quote, "From my understanding, the structure had to come down anyway," and closed quote. He said, continuing on by saying, quote, "Shocking it came down this way. I was a little shocked this morning when I woke up, but nevertheless, continuing onward," and closed quote. The rear of the 8-bedroom house had been partially charred black from a previous fire. No one was in the house, however, at the time of the fire. That is according to Parker. The lot sits around the corner from the Little Caesars Arena garage on Sproat Street. According to city records, the property is owned by the Shirzad Love LR Trust. The lot is zoned B4, which Parker said opens up the site to multiple uses. The owners are also open to a land contract, he said as well. Detroiter Urena Fisher said her daughter called her early on Monday morning to ask her about the smoke and fire that she saw coming from the site. Fisher lives a few blocks away with her daughter, who saw the fire from her home and was concerned it may have been Fisher's apartment complex that was on fire. Together, the two drove together to get a closer look. Quote, "I opened my window and I could see over Little Caesars Arena," she said. "I saw this big smoke and fire. Come get me." She came and got me, and we drove over there," and closed quote. Fisher saw at least 10 fire trucks at the site when she arrived and her daughter arrived. She said, quote, "All of them standing in the street just watching this house burn down. One truck did have a hose on the house," and closed quote. Fisher said she took photos of the fire as the flames engulfed the wood frame house and left the fire left when the fire got, quote, "really hot and intense," and closed quote. She later returned in the morning to see what became of the house and said, quote, "Now that there were these big old fire trucks and all of them were down and on it and I'll restart that quote entirely, a little bit wordy. Now there were these big old fire trucks and all of them were down on it, putting out the sticks," and closed quote. There we go. Second time's the charm. In preparation for what would become Little Caesars Arena in 2017 and the District Detroit, the Ilitch organization spent nearly $50 million and years quietly buying more than 50 properties from dozens of private owners. In 2014, the firm told the Detroit City Council it had all the land it needed for an arena, but still had bids on the other properties. A Detroit fire spokesperson did not return messages seeking comment on this fire yesterday after it had occurred. Finally, our Erica Jones from our team at My Michigan TV and Civic Center TV was recently down in Allen Park at the Detroit Lions training camp, where it's well underway. Their first preseason game is coming up later this week, and most of these skill position battles are pretty well underway. And some of these skill positions in particular, the quarterback, wide receiver, running back, that depth chart is pretty well organized already and probably isn't likely to change. But there is one position that many people overlook that is still very competitive in Allen Park at the Lions training camp. Erica Jones has the story.
Detroit Lions training camp is 2 weeks in, and position battles are hot, especially kicker. Austin Seibert and Riley Patterson played each other years ago, and now they find each other at the professional level competing to be the Detroit Lions kicker.
So we actually played each other in high school. Yeah. Yep. He's from Edwardsville, I'm from Belleville, same conference.
Patterson is confident he has what it takes to be an NFL kicker, coming off a rookie campaign where he went 13 of 14 on field goals with a long of 49.
Yeah, I definitely believe I can. I feel like I kind of proved that last year that I can play, and I'm building confidence really after each practice, and I feel like I'm getting better and better as well. My legs getting back underneath me too, so I have a lot of confidence.
But when head coach Dan Campbell spoke to the media yesterday, he said Seibert is ahead in the battle right now.
Yeah, but I thought they both did a good job, but I felt really good about Seibert. I feel like he's just, right now, if you're asking me today, he's a tick better.
Even though Seibert's strong camp has caught the coach's attention, Patterson still trusts his abilities to kick for Detroit.
Well, I have a lot of confidence in myself and the things that I can do. I can't really control what Austin does. Austin's great. I have no problems with him. We're friends. But, I'm going to do what I can do to the best of my ability. I have complete confidence in myself. I feel like I'm an NFL kicker, and I want it to be here. I want to play for Detroit.
Patterson is not the only one who believes in himself. Seibert may be ahead, but this battle is not over. Patterson is still right in it.
Patterson's still not banging away. It's not like he's not in there, and we still got a long camp to go.
Like Coach Campbell said, there is still a lot of preseason football to be played. The Lions will be in action this Friday against the Atlanta Falcons for their preseason opener at Ford Field. And Seibert and Patterson will continue to battle for the regular season roster spot.
Long line of great kickers for the Detroit Lions, from Jason Hanson to Matt Prater and beyond. Looking for that next person to take the helm and maybe become a consistent kicker for the Lions. It's a key position in the special teams. Those 3 points can really make a difference. Ask Justin Tucker of the Baltimore Ravens. He made one from long last year that was a heartbreaker for the Lions, and the Vikings did something very similar to them as well. So it's always important to have a quality kicker on your team to help get those 3 points. Every point matters in the game of football. Thanks to Erica for that story and more coverage from the Lions training camp in Allen Park. All of our headlines today, of course, on our website, civiccentertv.com, on our local news page, as well as those ever-helpful links to accurate and up-to-date information on COVID-19 from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta, Georgia, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services in Lansing, and, of course, the Oakland County Health Division locally here in Pontiac. We have a great program ahead on this Tuesday edition of the Oakland County Megacast. Coming up next, I'll be joined by Phyllis Scripsick from Gesher Human Services, followed by financial advisor Rick Bloom. That's all up next on the Oakland County Megacast.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Connect with local leaders, philanthropists, and more. The Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce presents the 2022 Leadership Breakfast. Join the Chamber for a morning of insight with guest speaker Laura Graneman, with the whole event emceed by Fox 2 News anchor Roop Raj. Join your local businesses at the Wabeat Country Club September 13th at 8:30 a.m. Order your tickets by September 6th at westbloomfieldchamber.com/breakfast. We'll see you there.
Let's whoop it up for these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine. I'm feeling good.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Welcome back to the Oakland County Megacast, our live daily 1-hour program about all things Oakland County. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learning more about the program by visiting civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. The job market is wide open, but that doesn't make it any easier for Oakland County and Metro Detroit residents, as well as other Michiganders, to find the right place to call their future work home, or even to satisfy their needs for covering their necessities with the jobs that they do have. Helping them out are the friendly people and from organizations such as Gusher Human Services. And joining us now from Gusher is Phyllis Scripsick, licensed professional counselor and career counselor as well. Phyllis, appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So first off, if you can give us a little bit of background information, one of the programs that you work with at Gusher Human Services is their Work Intervention Network, otherwise known as WIN. Can you tell us about WIN and some of the services that it provides to residents of Oakland County and of the Metro Detroit area?
Yeah, sure. So when the pandemic actually happened, a group of 10 academic individuals got together, whether it be social workers or psychologists, career professionals, and they knew that people were going to need help during this time with employment. And we also know that when people are more isolated, they tend not to get jobs as opposed to people that have the actual support. And so that's what we're going to be doing. So it's a networking kind of program where participants will be able to network. We're going to be talking about building and sustaining relationships. We're going to talk about self-esteem, self-worth, whether it be guilt, shame, because we know that when people are out of jobs, that comes along with it. In fact, when people, introduce themselves the first time, they always ask, what do you do for a living? And so, if we can kind of negate that and get people to where they're really positive about their answers, then they feel much better about themselves.
These free support classes for unemployed Metro Detroiters begin on August 15th through Gusher Human Services. That's August 15th. is when these begin, and they're known as the Work Intervention Network, virtual workshops to help these unemployed and underemployed Metro Detroiters. And so, Phyllis, as they are dealing with their work situation, maybe they're trying to find a new job, or they're settling into a new job, and or maybe that new job is just something that's paying some of the bills, but maybe not enough. In that case, they're underemployed. What are some of these common issues that they do run into, both emotionally and, of course, on the labor side of things, as they're looking for more consistent work that your organization and intervention programs such as WIN are hoping to help alleviate?
Yeah, looking for a job is a job. And it takes a lot of strength to get through that. And I think, especially if you've been out on the market for some time, people, are uncertain of how to actually interview. They're uncertain of what skills that they have, and maybe just even their confidence. And just talking about that and helping them through that process. At the end, we'll be talking about job search techniques. And each year, the interviewing process gets different. And so it's how to negate that and think outside the box and think on your feet, and how to actually go through and look for employment. So those are things we're going to be covering.
Just how important is it, as someone's looking for a job, or as someone's looking to make a transition in their career for a variety of different reasons, just how important is it to have that baseline of emotional resilience to be able to deal with that process? Because for some, they'll be able to find a job relatively quickly. For others, they may experience a lot of rejection, or just not find that they're getting accepted to the right positions, and that can be tough.
Yeah, and that rejection is hard. And I always tell people when I work with clients is that even if you get a no, that's okay, because you only need one yes, and to keep going forward and not to give up. And then maybe it is along the way that you learn, to do things a little bit differently, so that you have an opportunity of getting hired. But it can be very difficult. It can be very daunting. And so it's really important to have support people in your corner to give you courage, to maybe give you some tips. And that's kind of what we do here at Gesher.
Gesher Human Services can be found at jvshumanservices.org. Of course, it is a new organization combined from JVS and Kadima. You can find them at jvshumanservices.org. For more information on the Work Intervention Network, or WIN, these courses begin virtually on August 15th. August 15th, if you just go to jvshumanservices.org, you can learn more information on how you can get involved and maybe take some of these lessons yourself if you are struggling currently in finding a new job. So this really takes the element of those other virtual classes and virtual seminars that Gesher does to help people find jobs, but takes into account what's often underlooked, and that is the mental health side of things, because that does play in a big role when somebody is not in necessarily the greatest headspace, or they're starting to get down on themselves because their job search isn't going as well as maybe they anticipated. That can really affect them as they continue their job search.
Absolutely, it can. In fact, we see this even in career counseling, that the mental health issues have gone up since COVID. We've all been through so much, and those mental health components are very, very important. And we also know that when people are unemployed, those mental health issues go up even more so. And we have over 70,000 thoughts a day in our head. And when you're sitting idle, or you don't have things to fill your day, then, the negative chatter continues.
These classes begin August 15th on Mondays and Wednesdays, 1 p.m. to 2:30. They run through August 31st, jvshumanservices.org. For more information, that's jvshumanservices.org. Phyllis, for those that may not be able to attend at that time, maybe they have other work, or they figure that it's probably a better use of their time in that moment of the day when they're most lucid, or they're wide awake, to be working on their applications, working on their resumes. Are they able to access these programs on demand, or are these something that you have to participate in live?
You have to participate live. I will be offering another session in January 2023. But there's other services here at Gesher that we can help them out with as well, whether it be resume writing, whether it be mock interviews, getting a cover letter together. We can actually help with that as well.
So this is a very complicated situation for people to work through, because there's a lot that factors into it. It's the job search element of it, which for every person is going to have different factors that are involved, different constraints that are involved. But then there's also the mental health side of it too. And both of those things so often don't coincide. Mental health and strengthening your mental health, but also focusing on your career. Those are two things that often can clash. So as you're developing this program, how are you taking that into account? And then beyond that, helping the people as you're teaching them these concepts to mix the two together in a way that's productive for them.
Well, so I come with the concept of that a lot of people think life is here and job and career is here, but it's not here. And during the midst of COVID, we've seen it even more so. And so I go from that perspective. And what's going to affect one will affect the other. You can't help but it to affect the other. So to know that and be aware of that and to be aware of what your own emotions are. Maybe it is that you're really scared to interview. So just knowing that is the first step, and to know how to rectify that and practice, and so that you can get better and that you can do really well during an interview.
More information can be found on the Work Intervention Network by visiting jvshumanservices.org. jvshumanservices.org. You scroll down on the left side of the page under what's coming up and go to August 15th. You'll find more information as well as ways to register for this program. It runs August 15th through the 31st, Mondays and Wednesdays every week, 1 p.m. until 2:30. Again, that's jvshumanservices.org. Joining us on the Oakland County Megacast is Phil Scripsick, a licensed professional counselor and a career counselor with Gesher Human Services, which is a combination now of JVS Human Services as well as Kadima, helping people throughout the Metro Detroit area in their job searches, in their careers, and also on the mental health side as well. So this is a couple weeks worth of courses. Where do you begin with this? Because there's so much to go over, and getting that foundation in, I would imagine, with those that are going to be in these seminars, it's going to be really important, to boost their learning experience over these 16 days, the 16-day period from the 15th to the 31st, but also to kind of give them a foundation to grow those other concepts as they continue to look for work too.
Yeah. And so the first, when they meet, they're going to be actually networking with one-on-one. Outside of the group, they'll be buddied up so they can continue to network. And our whole mission is that once the program's done, they still have a networking support system put in place. And then we're also going to be working on mindfulness and self-care during this time. That's really going to be vitally important part of this program. And a lot of times people don't take care of themselves, and they might put that on the back burner. And so I think it's really important to do that in the midst of looking for a job, because looking for a job is a job.
Especially in the times that we're in right now with the economic situation. The job market is still relatively open. There still are a lot of jobs that are available in a number of different sectors. And that's something to be confident about as you're entering the job market. But there's some uncertainty with that too. And as you're teaching this class, knowing that the economic situation that we're in the U.S. and that anytime in the near future depending on the projections and depending on how a few other factors go, we could enter into a recession, and that could very much impact the job market. That's got to also be having a significant impact on people's mindset as they're going into the job market. How are you planning to help people navigate that? Or what do you suggest to help people navigate that element of the job market at this time, that uncertainty that's coming with our economy?
I think it's really about doing the research about it and knowing what's coming ahead. But again, we still don't know exactly what's coming ahead. We didn't know the pandemic was going to happen. And in the midst of the pandemic, a lot of things tragic happened to a lot of people. It's a lot of grief and trauma in the midst of that people have endured. But there's also been really great things that's come out of that. And the one thing is that the shift between employers and employees. And I think right now is a great time to get out into the market, especially if you want to change jobs. I think employers may be open to more of a training kind of a situation more than they ever have. But going forward, maybe right now, if you're not in the job market, maybe right now is to learn some new skills. And so that you can get back into the market and do very well in that.
We're joined by Phil Scripsick, a licensed professional counselor and career counselor with Gesher Human Services, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. You can find more information on the Work Intervention Network, or WIN, virtual workshops by visiting jvshumanservices.org. jvshumanservices.org, those classes, Mondays and Wednesdays, 1 p.m. until 2:30 p.m., beginning August 15th, concluding on August 31st. Again, jvshumanservices.org for more information. And you mentioned this at the beginning of our interview, Phyllis, that so many people are a little bit bashful, a little bit shy, maybe even embarrassed when they are underemployed or when they're unemployed and they're maybe meeting some new people or networking and they're asking, well, what do you do for a living? Or where do you work? And maybe they're underemployed, maybe they're unemployed, they don't have a job at the moment and they're looking, and there's a little bit of a stigma behind introducing yourself as someone that is unemployed or is currently not in a job situation. That can affect the way that someone thinks of themselves too, as they're introducing themselves, or they're maybe not introducing themselves with as much confidence to somebody because of their work situation. What suggestions do you have for people that are currently in that situation now in terms of how they introduce themselves to other people, but also because that impacts how they really are introducing themselves to themselves?
Absolutely. So one thing that they can do is actually focus on what they're doing to prepare to get back into the market. So if they're currently taking classes, they could highlight that. If they're actually, doing a lot of networking, they can highlight that too and say, by the way, I want you to know that I'm networking. And if you know of anybody, please let me know. So it's really kind of, I wouldn't say doing a dance around it, but like really highlighting the positives that you're doing in the midst while you are unemployed. And that way they can walk away and feel really good about what they are doing. It's making that initial step to get back into the market.
More information can be found on jvshumanservices.org. Again, if you are in a situation where you are unemployed or you're underemployed, you're trying to make a transition in your career and things maybe aren't going as smoothly as you thought they would go, or maybe you're a little less than confident in yourself as you continue through this process, this is a great opportunity for you in Metro Detroit to take some of these classes, reset your mindset in terms of your job outlook, network with some people as well, and learn from experts out in the community, I guess, for human services. This is their work intervention network. August 15th through August 31st, the classes are middays on Monday and Wednesday, 1 p.m. until 2:30 p.m., Monday and Wednesday. And again, jvshumanservices.org is where you'll find more information. You just scroll down the left side of the page under what's coming up and click on read more under work intervention network program, and you can register. You can also inquire more by emailing Phyllis at pscripsick@jvshumanservices.org. Phyllis, another couple minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else at this time that those that are unemployed or underemployed looking to make a transition should be keeping in mind as they're working through the job market, as they're navigating their current situation and trying to put their best foot forward, or any other information about the work intervention network that we haven't discussed today?
One thing for the individuals looking to get back into the market is to really know your worth, right? To know your worth, what you can provide to an employer, what you're passionate about, and sell that. And continue to network. I mean, every industry has a revolving door. And so if you know people in industry, maybe network even on LinkedIn, or if you know people that work in the agency that you want to work at, I would network with them. That's the number one way of getting a job, is networking.
Well, Phyllis, we appreciate your time. Thanks for your insight and advice.
Thank you.
For more of that, people can get it at jvshumanservices.org. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
jvshumanservices.org to find more information on all these programs, to register and participate in the Work Intervention Network August 15th through August 31st from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays. You can email Phyllis at pscripsick@jvshumanservices.org. That's PSCRIPSICK at jvshumanservices.org, or call 248-233-4278. That's 248-233-4278. We'll take a quick break on the Oakland County Megacast. On the other side, when we come back, preparing for a potential recession, answering follow-up messages from the Iras, and more. Financial advice coming from financial advisor Rick Bloom, who's also a columnist under the Money Matters column at Hometown Life magazine, joins us next on the Oakland County Megacast.
Connect with local leaders, philanthropists, and more. The Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce presents the 2022 Leadership Breakfast. Join the Chamber for a morning of insight with guest speaker Laura Granneman, with the whole event emceed by Fox 2 News anchor Roop Raj. Join your local businesses at the Wabi Country Club September 13th at 8:30 a.m. Order your tickets by September 6th at westbloomfieldchamber.com/breakfast. We'll see you there.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Connect with local leaders, philanthropists, and more. The Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce presents the 2022 Leadership Breakfast. Join the Chamber for a morning of insight with guest speaker Laura Graneman, with the whole event emceed by Fox 2 News anchor Roop Raj. Join your local businesses at the Wabeat Country Club September 13th at 8:30 a.m. Order your tickets by September 6th at westbloomfieldchamber.com/breakfast. We'll see you there.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Welcome back to the Oakland County Megacast, our live daily 1-hour program about all things Oakland County. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about the show at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. As the economy continues to fluctuate, your portfolio may be doing the same. It may be a cause for concern, but if you make the right moves, you may not have a cause for panic. Joining us now is Rick Bloom from Bloom Advisors, as well as the Money Matters columnist at Hometown Life newspapers. Rick, thanks for joining us today.
It's always a privilege to be here, Tyler. Thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So we are in a time in the market where we're starting to see some prices begin to drop back down to more normal levels, or at least even themselves out, particularly gas prices. They're down around $4 per gallon in the state of Michigan. We just had earlier on in our headline segment today mentioned that there's projections that could go at some point under $3 in the coming weeks or the coming months. And so that may be a cause for some positivity as people are looking out into the market at this time. That being said, inflation is still at a record high since 1981. It hasn't been higher, and that's definitely affecting the financial markets as well. At this time, since we've last spoken just about a month ago or so, how has inflation continued to take a toll on the financial market, and how are you advising then your clients to approach their portfolio and managing their investments, knowing that the economy is still kind of in a state of flux?
Well, there's a couple things there, Tyler. First of all, inflation is still a major problem, and it's going to be a problem for a while. The numbers that are coming out are showing that inflation is still very high. And yes, we're getting some relief on the gas prices, but not on groceries and some of those other things. So it's going to continue to be a problem. That being said, July was a good month for investors. If you look at it, the S&P 500 was up 9%. The Dow was up about 6% in the month. So despite some bad economic news, markets can still perform. What I always tell clients is that this is not gambling, and you do not look day to day. You're meant to invest in markets for the long run. And when I say long run, I mean you should be in the markets for at least 5 years. If you only have a 1-year time frame with your money, you don't go into the market. So what we always talk to our clients about is long-term goals and objectives, and not to let short-term discomfort cause long-term pain. Because a lot of people, their initial reaction is, I have to do something with my portfolio. I better sell before the market drops. And they miss out on opportunities. Again, take investors that just missed out on July, where the S&P was up 9%, recouped a significant portion of their losses. So investors need to be patient. And the other thing is, investors can't just watch the news and think that's what they should do with their portfolio. It's a mistake to think day to day you should be making adjustments to your portfolio. Have a long-term game plan and stay with that game plan. Don't start letting fear or greed dictate your investment decisions.
If people are in a situation where their finances may be a little bit more in flux, maybe they have recently lost a job, or they're in between jobs, maybe they're underemployed, but they have some investments that they've made that may be able to cushion them financially a little bit. What actions should they be taking to keep themselves financially afloat, pay those bills that they have to pay, those necessities, but also not entirely take themselves out of the market in order to make ends meet?
I think the first thing is everyone needs to get a hold of their expenses. I find, and I sit down people all the time, I see people with 5 streaming services that don't even know they have 5. So I think the important thing is for people first to get a hold of their expenses. What can they cut? What don't they need? And then if they're still running short, that's when they should start dipping into their portfolio. But I would tell people be very cautious about taking from 401k plans, IRAs. That's your retirement money, and it's sacred. You need to keep that long term. What other things people can do is look at refinancing their debt. A lot of people have 20.5% interest rate in their charge cards, and they could shop around for a lower interest rate charge card. And people should be doing that, taking these steps. And it's just not one step that will change your situation, but 2 or 3 different steps can really improve your situation. Look at refinancing your debt. And also, what I tell people sometimes is that are in severe debt problems, maybe you do have to go into bankruptcy, and maybe you have to have a fresh start. People shouldn't be embarrassed about bankruptcy. Corporations do it all the time, and it's a tool that people can use. You don't want to use it half-heartedly, but if you're in severe financial shape and really there's not a lot of good ways out, bankruptcy is an option for many people. But the most important thing for people these days, get a hold of your expenses. Really focus like a laser on those expenses and look for ways to reduce it.
We're joined by Rick Bloom. He's a financial advisor at Bloom Advisors, as well as a columnist at Hometown Life newspapers, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. Rick, it's another time of the year where we're beyond tax season, but we're also in the season now where people are getting some follow-up messages from either the IRS or from the state of Michigan. I got one from the Treasury Department looking and at the state level looking for just some basic follow-up information on a couple of different things that I applied for on my taxes this year, and it was an easy follow-up. For those that are getting more attention from the IRS and have not followed up yet, what is your advice to them on the timeline of doing so? Because the longer you take, really the more pressure you're going to be under with the IRS or with the state.
My number one thing is to tell people, do not ignore taxing authorities. If you get a letter from the IRS, the state of Michigan, take it seriously. Now, what you should also never assume that the letter is correct. The IRS admits half the letters they send out are wrong. So just because the IRS says you owe money doesn't necessarily means that you owe the money, but it definitely means you have to respond. If you don't respond, and they're going to assess you with more penalties, and you're going to lose any rights you have. So do not ignore the IRS. And I would always tell you, even like people sometimes will not file their tax returns because they don't have the money to pay their taxes. File those returns, even if you can't pay the taxes. And I know this may sound crazy, Tyler, but the IRS is becoming friendlier to work with. You know, they'll set up payment plans for you. They'll work with you, but you have to respond. In my career, I've never seen the IRS friendlier and easier to deal with than they are now, especially for people who owe money. So you shouldn't just hide. You should try to work with the IRS. There's payment plans, all sorts of things these days, but don't ignore them. It's the worst mistake someone can make.
And on that note, too, as people are getting those messages, it also opens up another time for scammers to go after their information and try to take over their finances by getting some of that personal information that may be sought by the IRS. As someone that is in the know of the financial world and of the tax world, as you are, Rick, what sort of red flags should people be looking out for if they're getting contacted by the IRS or getting contacted by the IRS,
right,
and looking for their information?
Well, one, the IRS is not going to call you. So unless you've had a dealing with them. So if you get a cold call and it says IRS even on the caller ID, ignore it. It's wrong. If you get an email from the IRS, it's wrong. The IRS does an email. So you know right off the bat, if you get a call or an email, it's a scam. I had one with my mom a number of years ago where they called her and told her they're on their way to arrest her if she doesn't give them the charge card, and people can't fall for that. The IRS doesn't do that. So you know it's a fraud right off the bat if you get a threatening email or a threatening call. And I always say, if you see IRS on your caller ID, don't even pick the phone up. It's not worth it. These scam artists are good at what they do. They really are. And they know how to, get under your skin and to scare you. Don't take the call. But if you get a letter from the IRS, then you want to, respond to it. That's how the IRS initially contacts people, is through the mail. It's not through email, and it's not through phone calls.
We're joined by Rick Bloom. He is with Bloom Advisors, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. More information can be found on bloomadvisors.com. You can also read his Money Matters columns in Hometown Life newspapers as well. Rick Bloom is with us on the Oakland County Megacast. Rick, we've seen in the past several weeks here in Oakland County and in places across Michigan some really pretty tragic losses of life that have happened fairly suddenly. And that's brought up to me the importance of discussing estate planning, particularly on your finances. For you as a financial advisor, you're talking with your clients of all different ages. How important is it to, even at an earlier age, as you're getting control of your finances and your financial situation, your financial future, to have a plan in place in case you aren't able to eventually taste the fruits of your labor?
It's huge. It's huge. I cannot tell you how important it is for everyone to have some sort of estate plan. It doesn't mean if you have to have a lot of money or not. As an example, you could be in your 20s and now you have a child. Well, you better make sure you have a will so you can name a guardian to take care of that child if you can't. I always tell people the reason you do estate planning is not to save on taxes or to avoid probate, which are good. The main reason you do it is because you love your family and you want to make sure that when you're no longer here, the family can go on without you and make it as easy as possible. And so everyone needs a will. And I'd also tell you in Michigan, everyone also needs a medical power of attorney. So if there's a family emergency, someone can step up and make decisions for you. And the nice thing is, not everyone has to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars to do an estate plan. In the state of Michigan, we have something called the Michigan Statutory Will, which is a free fill-in-the-blank will you can get through the state, all sorts of places. It's a very good will for straightforward estate planning needs. And nowadays, there's a lot of estate planning you can do without, again, going through a lawyer, naming beneficiaries. I always say people should go through their 401ks or life insurance policies, IRAs, to see who they've named as primary and secondary beneficiaries. And if they haven't named someone, name someone. So there's lots, it's just so important to do estate planning. And, I always emphasize, you do it because you love your family. We all know death is going to occur. It always occurs, at the wrong time. It's always emotional. Make things easier for your families and do some sort of estate planning. And you'd be surprised how good you feel when you've done it, because you've taken care of your family and your loved ones. And particularly for people that are in non-traditional relationships, those estate plans are even more important to protect your significant other.
Joined by Rick Bloom. He is a financial advisor with Bloom Advisors, also a columnist under the Money Matters column in Hometown Life newspapers, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. You can find more information and get in contact with Rick and his team at Bloom Advisors by visiting bloomadvisors.com. That's bloomadvisors.com for more information. Rick, another couple minutes with you today before we'll say goodbye. Any other advice at this time on the financial markets, on investing, or other matters that are of particular importance to our audience at this time that we haven't discussed yet today?
Well, I would tell all investors, this is a great time to invest. The market is on sale. When stores are on sale, that's when I want to go shopping. So for people that have been sitting on the sideline, can markets go lower? Sure they can. But you can't, it's like buying something on sale. You can't hope to buy it at its lowest price. You want to buy it at a fair price. Markets are on sale. If you're a long-term investor, you should take advantage of it. Also, with the down market, a lot of investors ought to look at converting traditional IRAs into a Roth IRA, because the benefit of that is that money now grows tax-free, not tax-deferred, and it's not subject to the 72 years old minimum required distribution. So I'd say look for opportunities to take advantage of this market, and converting existing IRAs into a Roth IRA costs you some money in taxes now, but potentially can save you lots of money down the road. And I would always tell investors, don't panic. Don't panic. We've been through these times before. We get through them. So don't pay attention to the day-to-day, the political talk, and, believing what the politicians say. Take a step back from that. Focus on long-term, and don't let fear dictate your investment decisions.
Hometown Life newspapers for his Money Matters column as Hometown Life newspapers from Rick Bloom. Hometownlife.com to read more of Rick's financial advice in Hometown Life newspapers. You can also get more information and some advice from his team at Bloom Advisors on bloomadvisors.com. Rick, appreciate you joining us.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks so much for the privilege to be here today.
Much pleasure to us. The pleasure is ours. Let's take a short break on your radio homes for the Megacast. 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. On the other side, when we come back, we'll kick off the Michigan Megacast talking politics with Oakland University's Dave Dulio. That's up next on the Michigan Megacast.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going. by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Connect with local leaders, philanthropists, and more. The Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce presents the 2022 Leadership Breakfast. Join the Chamber for a morning of insight with guest speaker Laura Graneman, with the whole event emceed by Fox 2 News anchor Roop Raj. Join your local businesses at the Wabeat Country Club September 13th at 8:30 a.m. Order your tickets by September 6th at westbloomfieldchamber.com/breakfast. We'll see you there.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Welcome to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe, welcoming you to our live 5 days a week look into all things Michigan. Today we'll be talking to political experts, nonprofit leaders, and more about topics of interest and importance to Michiganders like you. Learn more about the program by visiting civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV, our co-flagship. Election day has come and passed, and now it's on to the general election in November. Here to talk about the impact that the primary election will have on the coming future of Michigan politics is Oakland University professor of political science and director of its Center for Civic Engagement, Dave Dulio. Dave, appreciate you joining us today.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Good to see you, Tyler.
Appreciate having you on. So we have our gubernatorial race set for November. It will be between incumbent Democrat Gretchen Whitmer and Republican challenger Tudor Dixon from the west side of the state, who will be battling for the gubernatorial election in November. In terms of what catapulted Tudor Dixon to this victory on Tuesday night, we saw that she was near the top of the polls for a while, but maybe wasn't such a clear-cut leader. And then they have the results of the election last night that had Tudor Dixon winning by over almost 20% over Kevin Rinke in second place. So a significant difference there. How much of a difference do you believe that Donald Trump's endorsement had and her finally getting across the finish line and really taking that lead?
Yeah, I think it's real simple. I think it put her over the top. I think the Trump effect is felt very strongly in that in those final results. I think you see, one element of that, one measure of that is the fact that Tudor Dixon, at least in Oakland County, where we have these kind of results to the detail of them, she really ran away with it on election day voting as compared to absentees, right? So that tells me a couple things, right? One, that Republicans who were undecided, waited until the end and probably waited until that Trump endorsement came before casting their ballots. And then there's the factor that, Republicans embrace absentee voting at least in the last couple cycles, less than Democrats. So, that there was always going to be a high number of people who voted on election day in this GOP primary, but Tudor Dixon really killed it on election day voting.
We're joined by Dave Dulio from Oakland University on the Michigan Megacast. He is the director of the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University as we come out of the primary election season in the state of Michigan and head toward the November general election. Of course, as stated, Tudor Dixon, the Republican challenger now against Governor Gretchen Whitmer coming up this fall. It's going to be a heated battle. It already is a heated battle. Republicans have been, of course, on the offensive against Governor Whitmer, whether they've been going for the gubernatorial nomination or any other nomination in the state of Michigan. What do you believe at this time is going to be Tudor Dixon's biggest hurdle to overcome in order to defeat Governor Whitmer in a state that in many key population areas continues to trend more Democrat?
Sure, I'll give you a couple of them. One I think is, and some of them are related. One is name recognition. She's known among Republicans, certainly, but not all Republicans. Not all Republicans voted for her, even in the primary, right? She got 40% of the vote. And so name recognition, she's going to have to introduce herself to voters around the state. And of course, it takes money to do that. She needs to raise as much money as she possibly can, as quickly as she can. She faces Gretchen Whitmer, who has a huge campaign cash advantage over her. So that's going to be really important to watch, not only on Dixon fundraising, but if and when third-party groups come in on the Republican side and try to spend in support of the Dixon campaign. And then I think you have to look at the issues that are going to be where the election is sort of fought, right? Inflation, gas prices, roads. I think education will come up. I think you'll hear both candidates talk about abortion. So how does that get? Where does the sort of issue landscape fall?
We're joined by Dave Dulio, the director of the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information on oakland.edu about upcoming events and seminars with the Center for Civic Engagement. Again, oakland.edu for all of that information. Other interesting information, we'll go to southeastern Michigan in specific. In Oakland County, the big battle in the primary for the Democratic side really was between Haley Stevens and Andy Levin in the newly drawn 11th district. Andy Levin, of course, previously representing areas of Macomb County, but of course resides in Bloomfield Township in Oakland County, losing that race to Haley Stevens. In the end, very close race between the two of them. What put Haley Stevens over the top versus Andy Levin in this particular area that does tend to be very, very much progressive, even within the Democratic Party?
Yeah, I'll tell you, Tyler, I don't see it that way. I think that this, number one, was a significant divide in the results, right? She won with 60%, almost 60% of the vote. So 60-40. That's a pretty good margin right there. That's a wider margin than I expected. I would also say too that if we look at the district, right, it includes many different kinds of areas. You've got places where Andy Levin did well, which we would expect. Royal Oak, Ferndale, right? Those are places that do have, as you mentioned, many more sort of progressive Democrats as compared to more sort of traditional Democrats, right? He also did well in his home area. Bloomfield Township won a majority in several of those precincts. But if you look at other places in the district, Farmington Hills, Commerce, Wixom, Waterford, right? Those places are not where there's a bastion of liberal Democrats, right? That's where Haley Stevens did well. She won in central and western Oakland County. And the kicker, I think, is Pontiac, right? That's a city that has a lot of Democrats in it. It's got a lot of maybe progressive Democrats in it. Certainly a lot of African-American voters. And I think it's important to note a couple things about that. One, Pontiac is currently in neither of their districts. So it was new ground for both Stevens and Levin. And I think it's important to note, and I'm not one who normally thinks endorsements do much, but I think we can look at Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence's endorsement of Haley Stevens, an African-American member of Congress endorsing Haley Stevens. That might have given her sort of an entree into Pontiac, where Brenda Lawrence vouches for Haley Stevens, and that sets her on her way to win every precinct in Pontiac.
We're joined by Dave Dulio. He is a professor of political science and also the director of the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University with us on the Michigan Megacast, oakland.edu. For more information, it's oakland.edu/CCE for specific info from the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University, especially as we head into a very competitive November election season here in the state of Michigan. Another race that was very interesting, and to go on from the Levin and Stevens race on the Democratic side, we go toward the general election in November. And in Oakland County, and in that particular district, in those particular areas, which have in the past been indicative of Oakland County, more leaning Republican, but in the past few elections have really been leaning more Democrat. On the Republican side, do you think that the Stevens challenger is going to make this competitive, given that there has been sort of a resurgence in a sense of urgency from the Republican Party? Do you see there being a chance of that similar resurgence, having a different energy in the Republican Party in Oakland County, and maybe making a race like this, the 11th district, more competitive?
It's going to be really hard. I think and I think the fundamentals of this new 11th district are simply that there are far more Democrats who live in this district than Republicans, right? It is, as far as I see it, as well as other folks who look at this stuff. I'll give you one that your viewers and listeners can go to. It's the Cook Political Report. They are an excellent handicapping and analysis shop out of Washington, D.C. I would be surprised if this wasn't on their list of safe Democratic districts, right? One that is just overly Democratic, where it's going to be really tough for any Republican, no matter who they are.
We're joined by Dave Dulio on the Michigan Megacast, professor of political science, and also is the director of the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University. On the west side of the state, Peter Meyer, an incumbent Republican, was primaried, as it's known, lost in the primary on the Republican side of the ballot. He is one of many that have lost their election races after voting in favor of impeaching former President Donald Trump while he was still in office. He is now the second House Republican that had voted for Trump to be impeached that has then lost in the following election after that. What does that say for Michigan's Republican Party and the direction that they're going, with Pete Meyer very much being a moderate Republican as it stands today? Is the moderate side of the Republican Party in Michigan at this point more of a moot point, considering Pete Meyer losing in this race with his more moderate stance? And of course, as you said earlier, the endorsement from Donald Trump for Tudor Dixon really putting her over the top in the gubernatorial primary.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the whether the moderate wing is dead. I think we need to see how things play out, because and things are always going to change and evolve, right? I think, sure. But the Meyer Gibbs race is another one where there's no doubt that was a Trump effect, right? Gibbs, the Trump endorsed candidate, defeats Meyer in a district that leans Democratic, and I think here's maybe an uncomfortable Trump effect for Republicans, conservatives, however we want to put it. If Peter Meyer had won that race, I think he wins the general election in that 3rd congressional district. With Gibbs winning, I think he loses. So that is another Democratic-leaning district. I think Joe Biden carried that district if we were to add up all the precincts in the new 3rd by 8 or 9 points in 2020. So it's a Democratic district. I find it hard to believe that a Trump-backed candidate is going to be able to win in a Democratic-leaning area. And I think that the important part about that is beyond that one race, right? It's really about the Republican efforts to take back control of the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. As these primaries finish up, right, we'll have to take stock of the candidates that both parties have nominated and their fits for particular districts. John Gibbs might be and I don't know him, right? I've never met him. He may be a terrific guy and a terrific candidate, but not in that district, right? And just as you can look at other Republican nominees around the country and look at them and say, okay, is that person capable of winning an election? If we look at U.S. Senate seats in places like Pennsylvania and Georgia and some others across the country, what do those primary results mean for GOP attempts to regain control of the U.S. Senate, or in the Meyer Gibbs case, the U.S. House? In that, because if Gibbs loses, that's just one more seat somewhere else that Republicans are going to have to pick up to make Nancy Pelosi not be speaker anymore.
We're joined by Dave Dulio from Oakland University Center for Civic Engagement on the Michigan Megacast. Dave, one more minute with you before we'll need to say goodbye today. What are your key takeaways from this primary election in Michigan and what that means, or what that could mean, at least at this time, in terms of a forecast for the general election in November?
Sure. I think Trump is a big, sort of at the top of the list, right? I think that was his presence was felt across the state. And I think you see that with the Dixon race. I think you see that with the Gibbs victory. And I think we also have to think about how this political environment in Michigan changed in the wake of the Roe versus Wade decision, the Dobbs decision that struck down Roe versus Wade. I think there is plenty of evidence to say that it has energized Democrats far beyond what they were prior. And that's sort of stating the obvious. But midterm elections are often all about turnout, where the party of the president often suffers a little in terms of its enthusiasm. And this may be very different now in 2022. I think so that's something to watch. The enthusiasm that voters have around that ballot initiative on abortion that's likely to be on the ballot in November. And the other one is, Joe Biden's approval ratings for his job as president are dismal, right? They are at historic lows or approaching historic lows, mid-30s. Gretchen Whitmer's are much better, especially among independents. So we have to watch that. Does she stay with relatively high job approval numbers with independents, or does Joe Biden start to drag her down a little bit? That's something to keep an eye on.
Dave, appreciate your time, appreciate your insight. More information, of course, going to be coming forth, and more seminars from the Center for Civic Engagement at oakland.edu/CCE. Dave, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Tyler.
oakland.edu/CCE, as the Center for Civic Engagement continues to have a number of different events talking about the issues in the state of Michigan, looking from all different perspectives on the political spectrum, as well as talking to candidates, holding debates, and more. Keep up to date, oakland.edu/CCE, as we approach the November general election. We'll take a break on the Michigan Megacast. On the other side, we'll talk jobs with Ryan Hunt from Michigan Works. This is the Michigan Megacast.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast, our live daily one-hour show about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about the program by visiting civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. Joining us now as the job market in Michigan continues to be impacted by COVID-19, by the potential for a recession, by inflation and the supply chain, and so many other factors. It's important to get a wide-spanning look on ways that you can get help landing that next job right here in the Great Lakes State. Joining us now on the Michigan Megacast is the CEO of the Michigan Works Association, Ryan Hunt. Ryan, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me again. It's great to be here.
Appreciate having you on. So, of course, the seasonal job market definitely having an impact in Michigan this summer as activities were coming back in droves, as events came back to some semblance of normalcy. At this moment in time, what is the state of the job market in the state of Michigan? In the past, we've seen that there were plenty of jobs open, but people simply weren't filling them. What was the status, or what has been the status at least, with the seasonal jobs and the general market going forward?
Sure. The seasonal jobs in Michigan, the job market is relatively strong for the most part. As you mentioned, there are many events, fairs, festivals coming back in person. If they were not last year in 2021, they certainly are back in person this year as well. So the hospitality industry continues to see a rise in employment opportunities. But with that rise, of course, comes the challenge of hiring and retaining talent. And so even though we're seeing a strong demand for those hires and those employees in the hospitality and tourism industry, we know that the short-term and long-term challenges that employers face across all industries, but perhaps more specifically within the hospitality industry in Michigan, that is something that they are keeping tabs on. Of course, especially heading into the winter months, we'll see some of that seasonal adjustment for hospitality employment and tourism employment in Michigan drop in certain parts of the state that see stronger summer months. But of course, there are plenty of winter opportunities as well, whether they're the ski resorts or some of the other hotels and destinations in Michigan, in our Pure Michigan Winter Wonderland here. There will certainly be job availability going forward in the hospitality and tourism industry. In terms of the general market in Michigan, what we're seeing and what we have seen for the past several months is a relatively steady unemployment rate. It's been about 4.3% since April of this year. We are still seeing growth in the job market. The survey of households that was conducted by the state of Michigan's labor market information team during the month of July, which was their most recent publication, we've seen that Michigan's labor force has risen by about 45,000 workers. Employment has grown by about 66,000 individuals over the past several months. and the unemployment has fallen by about 21,000 individuals, remaining steady at that 4.3% unemployment rate in Michigan that we're seeing. And we're seeing that around that same number between 3.5% to 4.5% unemployment rate all across the country right now.
We're joined by Ryan Hunt. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the Michigan Works Association, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. Ryan, before we continue on talking about the state of the job market here in Michigan, how it impacts both employers and potential employees, let's go back to just some general information for those that may not be familiar with the Michigan Works Association. How does your organization work to benefit both those employers who are looking to fill these jobs and build their businesses here in Michigan, but also those employees who are out in the job market looking for work or looking to change their career and do it right here in Michigan?
Sure. The Michigan Works Association is the 501c3 nonprofit based in Lansing, and we support the 16 individual, independently operated Michigan Works agencies all across the state. Those Michigan Works agencies have 66 service centers and 33 one-stop centers throughout the state of Michigan to help support both employers and job seekers. We pride ourselves on being a demand-driven model. And when I say a demand-driven model, what I mean is that we are exceptionally responsive and supportive of the employers in our local communities and regions. And we try to understand what are their existing challenges from a hiring, recruitment, and retention perspective. What skill sets are they looking for, not only the technical skills, but also the soft skills they may be looking for. And then we translate that information in order to try and recruit and retain the job seekers to those positions, especially ones that are high demand, middle skill to high skill jobs right now throughout number of industries in Michigan and a number of employers as well. So for the employers, we can support them through resources and serving as an extension of their human resources functions in terms of recruitment, retention, and also supporting their employees or new hires with training dollars at both the federal and the state level. And then for the job seekers, we serve as a resource for them if they're looking for something as simple as a resume revamp or writing the resume, practicing interviewing skills so that they can be successful once they do get that interview with the employer. We can also support them in looking for additional resources, again, at the federal and the state level for upskilling opportunities, educational opportunities, and wraparound services as well. So if they're facing any barriers to employment, whether that be childcare accessibility and affordability, transportation, food access, there's a number of community partners across the state in each of our unique regions that we can work with to help lower or eliminate those barriers. That way, those individuals can focus more on how can they maintain their jobs, better support their families and their communities.
We're joined by Ryan Hunt. He is the CEO of Michigan Works Association, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. You can find more information by visiting their website at michiganworks.org. That's michiganworks.org for more information. And as we've gone through the pandemic, as we've come out of the thick of the pandemic, although we're still in the pandemic at this time, dealing with COVID-19, it continues to have an impact on our communities. Ryan, particularly in the industries such as the restaurant industry and the dining industry and other service industries, we've seen a heavy impact of the pandemic on exodus from those industries and a struggle as we've kind of grown more normalcy back into our daily lives and into our industries to see those jobs come back. Just in July, your organization had tweeted out that as of April, full service restaurant staffing levels were nearly 600,000 jobs below the point that they were at pre-pandemic. At this time, what is the status of our restaurant industry in the state of Michigan in terms of their ability to fill those jobs or their success filling those jobs, especially considering that so many of these restaurants are independently owned restaurants right here in the Great Lakes state?
Great question. The demand for services, right? If you go to your local restaurant right now, everyone wants to get back out. They want to feel part of their community. And what better way can they feel part of their community than visiting and dining at some of our wonderful restaurants and visiting and traveling to a number of different quality destinations in Michigan. The one thing that we have seen, though, is as that demand has continued to increase, the number of jobs and the staff at those locations may not be there currently to help meet that demand. If you drive up and down the street in your local community, I'm sure that you probably see many help wanted signs currently outside of our businesses in a number of industries, but down here, especially in the Lansing area, it seems as though the restaurants in particular are the ones that always have those help wanted signs. We're seeing increased wages for those positions, particularly entry-level positions in the restaurant industry, but that's still not attracting back as many individuals to those jobs as there were the number of positions available pre-pandemic. The good news is we have been doing quite a bit in the way of partnering with our folks at the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association. Amanda Smith, who is one of their executive vice presidents at MRLA, she has recently joined our board of directors at the Michigan Works Association, and she was also on a recent panel discussion that we facilitated in the month of July on the state of the restaurant and hospitality industry in Michigan. A few things that they are doing and encouraging their members to do is focus on upskilling and training. One of the reasons that we know individuals are leaving the jobs, when we talk about the dynamics like the Great Resignation, people are leaving their jobs because of two reasons, really. One is wages, but then the second reason is they don't feel there are quality job training or job advancement opportunities. And there really are a number of opportunities for individuals to advance in the restaurant industry in particular. The Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association earlier this year did launch a new training center and training programs to help individuals move along a career path within the restaurant industry. And that's one program that their members have been clamoring for a number of years. And because of the state of the job demand in the state of Michigan, especially in the restaurant industry, we feel that those types of programs to help communicate and advocate for training and career pathways within the restaurant industry, which I think traditionally people have seen and viewed those positions as entry level and not much advancement beyond there, but to communicate out what are the opportunities for career advancement within the restaurant industry, similar to career pathways in software development or advanced manufacturing. There's a number of opportunities for individuals to not only seek out those career advancements, but also increase their wages, increase their benefits as well, maybe move into leadership positions within those organizations and independently owned and operated businesses and restaurants. So we hope that we will be seeing many rewards in the years to come in the restaurant industry because of a greater focus on those career advancement opportunities.
MichiganWorks.org for more information and resources from the Michigan Works Association. We're joined by Ryan Hunt. He is the CEO of Michigan Works Association, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More than 16 affiliate organizations and counties throughout the state of Michigan associated with Michigan Works. And so give some more insight, Ryan, on how those individual local organizations work with individuals looking for jobs or looking to change careers to help them through that path and ease into those new jobs while also helping local employers, including a lot of these independently owned businesses and entrepreneurs, fill those open jobs that are really continuing to be a bit of an issue at this time.
Sure. We'll focus on the job seeker first. If you are an individual, whether you are currently unemployed or you are employed, but you feel as though I'm looking for a new opportunity in the industry I'm currently in because I have skills, I have credentials and certifications, or if you're looking to pivot to a new career and a new industry, your local Michigan Works office is there to support your career journey along the way. If you walk into one of our physical locations or even engage with your local Michigan Works office virtually over the computer, if you're looking for specific guidance on resume writing, interview preparation, what to do once you try and accept a job offer, how to look over a job offer letter and see, okay, how can I equate this to maybe the current level that I'm at? How does this match up with other job offers I may be getting? The Michigan Works offices and their staff at those offices can provide assistance in any number of areas for the job seeker. And if you're also looking for resources and maybe training dollars to help offset upskilling opportunities, the local Michigan Works office can certainly assist you with that as well. From an employer perspective, if you are a company and you are having challenges with hiring, recruitment, or employee retention, there's a number of things the business services staff at each of the 16 local Michigan Works offices can do for you. They can help set up job fairs, either in person or virtually. We've seen a strong return of the in-person career fairs come back. And those can be set up specific for one employer. They can also be set up for a consortium of employers in a particular industry or broadly speaking for a number of industries at their local Michigan Works office. The local business services staff can also provide some access to reliable training dollars. For example, the Going Pro Talent Fund is one of the most popular programs annually that the state of Michigan helps support with investments through the state appropriations process every single year since 2014. For fiscal year 23, the budget will begin October 1st, and we expect $55 million to be available for the Going Pro Talent Fund beginning October 1 of this year. So the application period will likely open up sometime in the fall, either October or November. And we constantly see a very strong demand for those dollars. We're always oversubscribed on the Going Pro Talent Fund, but those programs and other programs like incumbent worker training, on the job training dollars that are available through federal and state resources, those can all be accessed by contacting your local Michigan Works office, and they are with you every step of the way to help with employee recruitment, retention, and training.
MichiganWorks.org is the organization's website, MichiganWorks.org. You can also call their local Michigan Works number and the one-stop service center at 800-285-WORKS. That's 800-285-WORKS, 800-285-9675. And of course, find all this information and more on MichiganWorks.org. We're joined by Ryan Hunt. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the Michigan Works Association with us on the Michigan Megacast. We have an exciting event coming up in September. The 11th through the 13th in Mount Pleasant will be the Michigan Works Association's annual conference. Plenty of learning opportunities for people in all different sectors of business. Tell us about this upcoming conference and what people can expect.
We are so excited to be back in person for the first time since 2019 for our annual conference. As you mentioned, that will take place September 11th through the 13th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort in Mount Pleasant. We have a number of different workshops and keynote presenters, presentations that will be taking place. So if you're looking for additional insights into adult education or co-ops and internships, youth employment, a number of different resources that are available, strong networking opportunities with workforce development professionals, that will all be available at our annual conference coming up later this year, next month, actually, in about 5 weeks. We will just have wrapped up the 2022 annual conference. We'd like to thank both Consumers Energy and the W.K. Kellogg Foundation for being executive sponsors for this year's conference. We are on pace to have a record number of registrations for the conference this year, taking place again at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort in Mount Pleasant. Whether you'd like to attend for the full time of the conference, September 11th through the 13th, or if you take a look at the workshops in the calendar at a glance and you see, hey, I really think that the Monday sessions are more appropriate for what I do in the workforce profession, you can also attend for one-day sessions as well. We hope that everybody will join us in Mount Pleasant this year. Again, September 11th through the 13th. You can find more information on the annual conference at MichiganWorks.org. Next year, we will be in Detroit at the Renaissance Center, and then in 2024, our annual conference will be heading north to the Grand Traverse Resort in Traverse City. But we're really excited to see everybody back in person in just over a month up in Mount Pleasant for our annual conference.
Number of different workshops there, including empowering self-care and workforce development, how technology is impacting the future of the Michigan job market, introduction to Michigan STEM forward internship programs, and more, all throughout several different sessions, September 11th through the 13th in Mount Pleasant at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort for the Michigan Works Association's annual conference. More information and to register, michiganworks.org/the-event, michiganworks.org/the-event. Ryan, just another minute or so with you before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else that would be important for our audience to keep in consideration about the job market in Michigan for employers, for employees, or other information from Michigan Works at this time?
Sure. Whether you are a job seeker or an employer or a community partner, I know that workforce is continuing to impact a number of our private sector business members all throughout the state, whether they're having difficulty with hiring, recruitment, and retention, if they're looking for additional resources, or if we're looking to pull in additional partners to help lower or eliminate barriers around key factors like childcare accessibility, childcare affordability, transportation, food access, training dollars. Workforce really does touch a number of different partners all throughout the state in all of our communities and regions. And so if you have not done so already, I would encourage everyone to contact their local Michigan Works office. And you can find your local Michigan Works office by visiting our website at michiganworks.org. There is an interactive map that lists out within your region the local Michigan Works offices themselves and key contact information. Again, please feel free to reach out. Let us know what we can do for you and help you along the way in your workforce journey.
Ryan, appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on with us, Ryan. Appreciate it. MichiganWorks.org for more information on their over 16 locations across different regions of the Great Lakes state. We'll take a break on the Michigan Megacast. When we come back, we'll talk to one of over 300 charities and nonprofits supported on the Shared Detroit platform. That's up next on the Michigan Megacast.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Connect with local leaders, philanthropists, and more. The Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce presents the 2022 Leadership Breakfast. Join the Chamber for a morning of insight with guest speaker Laura Graneman, with the whole event emceed by Fox 2 News anchor Roop Raj. Join your local businesses at the Wabeat Country Club September 13th at 8:30 a.m. Order your tickets by September 6th at westbloomfieldchamber.com/breakfast. We'll see you there.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast. It's our live daily 1-hour show about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about the program at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. Joining us now on the Michigan Megacast is one of over 300 charities and nonprofits supported on the Shared Detroit platform. Nora Murray is the president of Grandparents on the Move and joins us now on the Michigan Megacast. Nora, thanks for being with us today.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Appreciate having you on. So first off, can you give us some information on Grandparents on the Move, what your organization does, and who it serves in our local communities?
Grandparents on the Move is a 501c3 organization. We opened up in 2003. In 2008, I got the 501c nonprofit. And we help grandparents and children with our sound support service program, physical, mental well-being, along with activities. We are here to support them in every way we can because with grandparents out here raising grandkids, and more of them than it is parents now. And our service provides free of charge to low-income grandparents and children who resident in Macomb and Wayne County.
And so, how did this organization come to be? It was, of course, as you said, it was established in 2003, became a nonprofit in 2008. But what was the origin behind creating an organization that is advocating for and supporting grandparents and caregivers who are taking care of their loved ones' children?
Because I've become one of those grandparents raising grandkids because of situation that had taken place. My son committed suicide and killed the baby mama. So therefore, I had to take over the responsibility of being their parents again. And under the circumstance, that means that I went through different training that I had to go through with in order to maintain the physical, mental, the finance, wise to help. And I organized this program because I didn't want to have to see another grandparents go through that without the support they need. So we just want to be a resource place where we can help other ones to maintain what they need to do with their grandchildren. Help other relatives that are raising grandchildren.
And no matter what the situation that ends up putting a grandparent or a caregiver in a situation to be raising a loved one's child, there's so many factors that go into how that impacts, of course, the child, but also the then parent who's going to be taking care of this child from there on out. And so what are some of the services with that in mind, the services and the resources that are provided to these individuals through your organization? And how does that then help them kind of bridge those gaps and put their best foot forward in raising their now children?
What we do is help them. We found different resources that they will be able to help it to them. Like we reach out to OSHA, which is generation where they do kinship care. We reach out to other people's different organizations like grandparents, other raising grandchildren. We got Magic Detroit. They have a program we work with, and we work with Share Detroit, where they get our information out there, how we go by trying to help and put on different events to help them, just like we just had an event. And we do workshops. Once a month, we have workshops that we do to help out. Well, we talk to them about different resources and how to go by finding things. We reach once a month. We meet once a month.
GOTMO.org, gotmo.org for more information on grandparents on the move. You can also visit sharedetroit.org to learn more information on them, as well as 300 other charities and nonprofits across the Metro Detroit area. And Nora, how do people then get involved with your organization if they're going to be acquiring these services? Do you reach out to them? Do they reach out to you? How does that work?
We do have a website put up with the information to find. If they decide that they want to join, they can fill their information out. If they don't feel comfortable doing that, then they can call me at 586-213-2780 or 586-554-1918, or they can go to the website, www.gotmo.org.
We're joined by Nora Murray. She is the founder and the president of Grandparents on the Move, one of over 300 charities and nonprofits supported on the Share Detroit platform with us on the Michigan Megacast. Again, the phone number is 586-554-1918, 586-554-1918, or you can go to gotmo.org, GOTMO.org for more information on Grandparents on the Move. Now, what are some of the most critical services or the most critical resources that are provided to these individuals, to these grandparents and caregivers through your organization that others that maybe are not in a situation like this may take for granted or may not understand the necessity of for these grandparents?
I think that's the whole problem. People don't understand the necessity for grandparents raising grandchildren. Because like I was saying, through physical, mental, financial is the most important one because majority of us, some have retired, some don't have ability to take care, and they have to find different resources. And that's our goal, is to help them find it. Because when I first started out with my grandkid, I didn't have the resource information to do what I'm supposed to do to raise that child. So I had to figure out in my mind, what can I do? I started a program with doing child care in my home to help out the financial part. I did child care there for a while, and then I quit and went focusing on just being grandparents raising grandchildren. Because DHS, they don't have the fund to help us, because you can make 1 penny less and they won't even help you. So you got to figure out what's out there. How can I find different resources for grandparents raising grandchildren and other caregivers? And thanks to Share Detroit for y'all support to help get the word out there how important it is for us to find the resource.
We're joined by Nora Murray. She is the president of Grandparents on the Move, also the founder of the organization. Joining us on the Michigan Megacast, the organization founded in 2003, a nonprofit organization, 501c3 nonprofit since 2008. More information on gotmo.org, GOTMO.org, or by calling 586-554-1918, 586-554-1918. For more information, and whether it be grandparents or even in traditional parenting models, especially in low-income situations, one of the tougher times of the year is going back to school, getting new school supplies or replacing school supplies, obtaining clothes for school, whatever the case may be. Those are some of the critical resources that can often be so tough to come by. Your organization is holding an upcoming school supplies drive and event. Can you tell us about that? How people in the community can support these grandparents, these caregivers, and of course, these children as they go back to school?
As we get ready to go back to school, we are supplying, we have reached out to different organizations for help, and we're very well aware. As of the 25th of this month at 4170 East 7 Mile, is a location for anyone that's willing and want to donate. They could bring the supplies there and drop them off. We'll be working there, filling the bags up, getting everything set up, ready, back to go.
More information can be found again on GOTMO.org. That's GOTMO.org. The Grandparents on the Move Backpack to School event happens August 27th, noon to 3 p.m. at the Chosen Generation Community Center on 7 Mile Road in Detroit. That is 2326 7 Mile Road in East Detroit. For more information, again, GOTMO.org, or by calling the organization at 586-554-1918, 586-554-1918. Christmas will be coming up pretty quickly, too, as we get into the school year. It always happens. We start the school year in September, and before we know it, we're into the holidays. That's also a tough time of the year for families that are facing some financial struggles, too. I know that Grandparents on the Move has a Kids for Christmas 2022 event. Also, can you tell us about that event and how families can participate in this from your organization?
How families participated, we gave a form out to them to put down their kids and the things that they needed for Christmas to help out. And we reach out to different other organizations to help us. And we do dedicated senior medical center. They want our supporters. They help in every way that they can in helping us get the kids, because they like to work with seniors. But the main thing is reaching out to the parents to help us to know what the kids need, to give us the information so we can share it, so we'll be able to support them and they going event for the holidays coming up.
More information, again, on Grandparents on the Move, including ways that you can tap into some of those resources if you are a grandparent or a caregiver in need of some assistance as you're raising your loved one's child. GOTMO.org. That's gotmo.org, or sharedetroit.org. Navigate to there, find it, nonprofits section, and search Grandparents on the Move. It'll give you information on how to get in contact with the organization. A link to their website. It'll give you their phone number information so you can call them as well. A list of items that may be useful to the organization, and of course ways that you can donate your time and financially to help Grandparents on the Move support these parents right here in your local area. We're joined by Nora Murray. She is the founder and president of Grandparents on the Move, with us on the Michigan Megacast. Nora, are there any volunteer opportunities with your organization to help support some of these events that are also, of course, helping to support so many grandparents and children in our local area?
We thankful and grateful for Share Detroit. They are getting us volunteer for the 25th to help with that. And we also have another event coming up on the 11th of September that we're going to need support with. 11th of September, National Grandparents Day. And we are having a gator celebration to honor those some grandparents that have made difference in their life there. So we're going to do a tribute to them on the 11th of September.
And that event, can you find more information and RSVP at Grandparents on the Move's website, gotmo.org. That's gotmo.org for more information. And again, their upcoming Back to School Drive Volunteer Day, that is coming up on Thursday, August 25th at the Wilder Branch Library in Detroit. That's 7140 7 Mile Road in East Detroit. Again, August 25th, 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the Wilder Branch of the Detroit Public Library. It's their Back to School Drive Volunteer Day, supported by Share Detroit. And then they have their Grandparents on the Move Backpack to School event. That's happening the Saturday after that. Saturday, August 27th at the Chosen Generation Community Center in Detroit, as well as also on 7 Mile Road at 2326 7 Mile Road in East Detroit. Again, all that information can be found either on gotmo.org, sharedetroit.org, or by calling Grandparents on the Move at 586-554-1918, 586-554-1918 for more information. Nora, just another few minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. Is there anything we haven't discussed at this time that would be important for our audience to keep in consideration about your organization or about the people that you serve and their needs at this time and going forward?
Number one, what you said is that way that they can reach out to us so we can help. And I did remind you of the Grandparents Gator, which is the 11th of September. And it will be held at 224 Ryan Road, Ryan, Michigan. They call the Gator program, the Gator, getting confused. It's called the Grandparents Celebration. We want to show our appreciation to grandparents by honoring them while even of remember. But we're going to host, pay tribute along with honor some of grandparents, because we have some great grandparents that have worked hard in this to do this, and we want to honor them. And we also have a garage sale coming up the 13th and 14th. That's to help us raise money to do some of the things that we are trying to do.
Well, Nora, we appreciate your time and of course, appreciate your efforts in the community to support these grandparents and these caregivers who are taking care of their loved ones' children in some very tough situations, but doing what they can to help raise these children. Appreciate it, Nora.
Thank you. Thank you for having us and Share Detroit.
More information can be found sharedetroit.org. Go to the Find a Nonprofit section and search for Grandparents on the Move, or go to Grandparents on the Move's website at gotmo.org, gotmo.org for more information. Again, their upcoming events Thursday, August 25th at the Wilder branch of the Detroit Public Library. It's their Backpack to School Drive Volunteer Day. If you're volunteering there, you can get more information on the website. And then, of course, it's their Grandparents on the Move Backpack to School event. That is happening Saturday, August 27th, noon to 3 p.m. at Chosen Generation Community Center, also on 7 Mile Road in East Detroit. And then September 11th, that is their Grandparents on the Move Grandparent Gala of 2022. That is going to be in Warren from 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. You can RSVP for that and find more information. Again, gotmo.org, gotmo.org. That is going to do it for this Tuesday edition of the Oakland County and the Michigan Megacasts. Of course, you can find information on all of our partnering TV stations, radio stations, and web outlets that join us every single day. Find our shows on demand and our full episodes as well. CivicCenterTV.com/Megacast. While you're over there on CivicCenterTV.com, head on over to our local news page where you'll find more information on COVID-19 from the CDC, the MDHHS, and the Oakland County Health Division at the top of the page, updated every day. It takes you directly to their COVID-19 pages. so that you don't have to dig through the weeds of the internet to find information on COVID-19 as it currently stands from experts on the front lines battling COVID-19 across the U.S., the state of Michigan, and locally in your hometown. You can also, on our local news page, find links to articles from journalistic outlets across the Great Lakes state on topics related to COVID-19 and other important news making headlines every single day. While you're there clicking through, reading their articles, we encourage you to continue to read on with their other materials. And if you have the means to do so, to subscribe to these publications and support journalism in your local area. That will do it for today's edition of both the Oakland County and Michigan Megacast. We'll return soon with new episodes.